Squatting Slav TV.
If you want to learn about the rise of populism in Europe, or the impact that diversity has had on the continent from an unbiased perspective, then one man has absolutely all the answers that you're looking for. On September 20th, CNN's Fareed Zakaria published an article for the Washington Post titled "I wanted to understand Europe's populism, so I talked to Bono," in which he interviews Bono, the celebrity SJW virtue signaling extraordinaire, about the rise of populism in Europe. For some strange reason, liberal CNN journalist Fareed Zakaria, who constantly spews out anti-American news pieces, thought that it would be a great idea to learn about European populism by interviewing an EU-loving pro-open border celebrity who absolutely hates populism. Since this is the kind of sloppy, biased journalism that the mainstream media expects us to eat up, then I might as well interview a feminist who's had 30 abortions about why having babies is so great, because this will prove to be just about as insightful as having two liberal SJWs discuss a political ideology that they so strongly oppose. In the interview, Zakaria starts off by saying that Bono is the perfect man to talk to about the problems posed by European populism because Bono is someone who sees the issues from a completely different angle.
Hello.
The last time I checked, Bono didn't have a different angle on populism, open borders, or diversity because his angle has always been the same as that of the EU globalist elite, and Bono has proven time and time again to echo the same anti-European sentiments as the mainstream politicians and liberal media.
Bono has long spoken up for the EU, and he hopes his fans will hear his message of unity and solidarity.
Just a few weeks ago at his concert in Berlin, Bono waved a giant EU flag while on stage to show his disapproval of Brexit, and then threw around Nazi salutes at his concert in Paris in an attempt to mock the Swedish Democratic Party. If Bono truly thinks that these virtue signaling publicity stunts are edgy, then he needs a reality check, because every second celebrity in Hollywood shares these exact same pro-establishment views as him, and there's really nothing avant-garde or daring about waving around the flag which represents the most mainstream and liberal values of Europe. As the interview continues, Bono tells Zakaria that Europe needs to go from being a boring bureaucracy and technical project to a grand, inspiring idea. He then goes on to elaborate that Europe should be a place of peace where people of many different lands and languages come together. Sorry to break it to you, Bono, but people from many different lands and languages are coming to Europe. And if you haven't noticed, it really isn't bringing much peace to some of the countries that they choose to settle in. In 2016, Bono was one of the first celebrities to virtue signal about how we need to refer to migrants as refugees, even though it's become blatantly obvious that the majority of these people, who are in fact young men, are anything but refugees. For Bono, concepts like this are a little bit difficult to grasp, considering that his NGO charity One, which aims to fight corruption and treat AIDS, has inflated his ego and virtue signaling to a whole different level.
Migrant is a political word.
Just when you thought that Bono couldn't get any dumber, he goes on to tell Zakaria that Europe is a hard sell today because the continent is ablaze with populism. The last time I checked, the hundreds and thousands of migrants rushing to the continent weren't complaining about Europe being a hard sell, and their exploitation of Europe's loose borders and economy certainly doesn't have them packing their bags to go back to their shithole homelands. Ask any migrant in Germany, France, or Sweden if Europe was a hard sell for them, and they'll probably tell you that they didn't risk their lives trying to cross the Mediterranean on a dinghy or hopping numerous borders in order to come to a continent that just didn't cut it for them. Going forward, Bono tells Zakaria that evil populist forces have swallowed up European nations such as Poland, Hungary, Sweden, and Italy, and he goes on to say that the attitudes in these countries are all fueled by their shared hostility towards strangers, foreigners, or anyone who is different. Surely enough, Bono pretty much points the finger at all of the rogue European nations that the EU is currently trying to punish and blackmail for embracing nationalism and closed borders, and above all for resisting the EU's ludicrous policies and demands. For Bono, the concept of a country closing off its borders to hundreds and thousands of foreign invaders is simply unimaginable because he himself lives in a white, non-diverse, upscale gated community where Mohammed and Abdul will never be your next door neighbors. As the interview concludes, Bono wraps up by boasting about how he loves the differences between people and states that the US should celebrate the remarkable achievements of diversity. If celebrating diversity means forcing French children to learn Arabic in public schools to avoid discrimination, or German citizens having to march against the murderous migrants that their government brings in, then Bono can celebrate diversity all he wants. In his final words, Bono closes off the interview by stating that patriotism has been stolen away from the average person by nationalists, extremists, and those who seek uniformity, and that real patriots seek unity above homogeneity. Essentially, Bono is just parroting the same old EU open border mantra, which pushes for Europe to diversify while demonizing anyone who dares to stand up for their country. Although Bono has come to be known as a major celebrity SJW, this recent interview between himself and Fareed Zakaria really goes to show the desperation of the establishment in yet another struggling piece of sloppy journalism aimed at quelling the spread of populism. At a time when more and more European nations are turning to populist politicians in response to the chaos brought on by the EU, it's guaranteed that many more idiotic Bono moments are coming to us in the near future. Until then, we can certainly look forward to many more ridiculous mainstream media hit pieces, which will only serve to popularize the very narratives that they so harshly condemn.